Hi, everyone, and welcome to Calling All Vegans, where we aim to network, support, and activate the vegan community through the wide variety of unique and effective activism techniques employed by our guests. And through our discussions on speciesism, we hope to persuade people to become vegan. I'm Sue Spar, and this is my friend and co-host, Alec Bose.
Hi, everybody.
Here we go again. We have a new YouTube channel, Calling All Vegans, and we would be grateful if you would like, comment, and subscribe. Now, today's guests are a father and daughter duo who are the stars of a YouTube-based reality show, Canada's own Dr. Cliff, Worldwide Vet. It's part travel documentary, part animal rescue and health show, and part answering all your animal-related frequently asked questions. Although they also volunteer locally, in this episode, we'll just be learning about the locations to which they've traveled on their own vacation time to provide care to injured and sick animals of all species. When watching the series, expect to be educated and entertained and to enjoy lots of comic relief, but also be prepared to bawl your eyes out. Please welcome Dr. Cliff Redford and his competent and compassionate sidekick, Emily Redford. Yay!
Hey!
Welcome, guys.
Good intro.
Thank you so much for making some time today to be on the show. It's really appreciated. And Sue was giving me a hard time about pushing everyone to subscribe, but she also does things to me and asks me to ask silly questions. So, to start things off, is there any relation to Robert Redford?
I've never heard that one before.
Gee,
today.
Yeah.
Just today. I have an uncle named Robert Redford, but he's not the handsome guy from Flight of the Condor, et cetera, so no relation.
I had Eartha Lowe on last week, so of course I had to pluck the low-hanging fruit and ask if she was related to Rob Lowe. So anyway.
There you go. There you go.
Now, Emily, does he insist on you calling him Dr. Cliff, or are you allowed to call him Dad, at least sometimes?
I'm allowed to call him Dad, but most people, he insists they call him Doctor. Well, because everybody always jokes that vets aren't real doctors, and he gets very offended when anyone says that.
No, a lot of my sort of longtime clients just know me as Cliff, and every once in a while a staff will say, "Oh, Dr. Redford is doing the surgery," and they'll say, "Where's Cliff?" No, only Cliff has to do the surgery. So they don't even know my last names.
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
Now, your clinic, Wellington Veterinary Hospital, is just north of us here in Markham, Ontario. How long have you been practicing, and what was the choice that led you down the path of becoming a vet?
Yeah, that's a good question. I graduated from the University of Guelph in 1998, so it's been a little over 22 years. I am
only
almost
20 years old, so.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. See,
Yeah.
You were born. That's what did it. So I've almost been a vet longer than, or as long as sort of not being a vet. As far as me becoming a vet, it was interesting. Had you had asked me years ago, I would have said it was a last-minute decision. You know, I've always been interested in animal health and always interested in science and teaching, and I actually really thought about being a teacher. It wasn't until grade 13, OAC, back when they had those in high school, that I made the final decision. But about 15 years ago, I ran into my grade 2 teacher, Ms. Hawley, and she still recognized me, she still said I looked the same, which is pretty strange. And I told her what I was doing, and she said, "You know, I knew it. I knew when you were 7 years old that you were going to be a veterinarian." And she went on to explain how I did projects with animals and always talking about them. So I didn't realize, but I was meant to do this.
Yeah, I'm a lifer too, and I always wanted to be a vet, but I didn't want. I was too worried about getting too sad about things that would happen and stuff. I couldn't hack it. But now, Emily, are you a vet tech?
I'm not.
Now, is that something you want to pursue?
It's something that I
No
have
pressure.
continue to consider. Right now, now it's not something that I want to be studying. I'm really involved in the art scene, so like dance and drama, and that's really like what my passion is. I would say my second passion, like second to that, would definitely be animals and working in this field. So it's something that I will continue to consider and may go to school for eventually. But if I don't go to school to become a vet tech, I will definitely keep doing volunteer work. And
so just a quick overview of the premise of your show. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working on the YouTube channel. The first trip was actually 4 years ago, almost to the day, to Jamaica. And it was actually due to pitch a TV show to broadcasters. That obviously never worked out. I had this feeling that I was going to come back from Jamaica with all this footage and they'd be throwing contracts at me. But for some reason, they didn't want to trust a $2 million budget for a veterinarian who'd never produced a show before. Who knows? I don't know. They're crazy. So the YouTube channel was always a backup plan. And to be honest, it's kind of become a nice backup plan because we're going to keep doing this forever, regardless of what happens. You know, if we never make it to the little screen, we're really enjoying what we're doing. We're now sort of focusing hardcore on it, that there's an episode coming out every single week. And it's a mix of our global travels, some of the wildlife volunteer work we do here, and then even some of the work we do with shelters at my clinic. So, and even some Q&As, which we're going to start launching very, very soon as well. So it's going very well, and it's a great little passion project.
No, I love it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to just say that's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit, Emily, about how you do your fundraising for the volunteer work, vacations? Do you get any sponsors from airlines, anything like that?
I wish we got sponsors. That'd be nice. I'm sure he wished we got sponsors more than me. No, I mean, for Jamaica, when they went, I didn't go on the Jamaica trip. I was a wee baby at the time. So, but when they went to Jamaica, they had some fundraising that they did just on like Indiegogo, I think. So they raised a bunch of money that way. Other than that, whenever we go on like family vacations, we'll do volunteer work. So we went to Greece last summer, so just over a year ago, and we did some volunteer work when we were there. And that was all just like out of pocket, as well as most of the other trips too were out of pocket.
All the other trips have been the bank of Dr. Cliff.
Well, hopefully we can encourage people to say, shut up and take my money and start funding little working vacation.
I'd just be happy if they just watch the show and share it amongst their friends. And we find it's a fun way to inspire people. It's not a big deal.
Sure. Now, so many of the rescue groups and shelters appear to be struggling with limited resources and sometimes pushback from their communities. I'm talking about the places where you go, like these more remote locales. Do you reach out to them or do they reach out to you for assistance?
Yeah, so again, with our first trip being Jamaica, that was kind of a secondary plan. We were originally going to go to Beijing, China. And then when that fell through, something about Americans showing up or North Americans showing up with cameras, looking into how animals are treated. Apparently it wasn't going to be supported very well. So we ended up, Jamaica was a sort of secondary option that was easy, but it ended up being phenomenally beneficial for them and for us as well. After that, rescues started reaching out to me. Now Greece ended up being, my wife's from Greece, so I would visit with her and her family. So I would reach out to rescues there. Yeah. But other than that, it was friends of friends would say, hey, how about India? How about Egypt? We did a 55 cat rescue from a hoarding situation in Northern Ontario a couple of years ago, and that was just a last minute trip. So it just, these opportunities come up and these needs come up, so we just jump to the challenge.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that episode, actually.
So you're, helping all different types of animals. What are some of the different species that you guys have worked with?
Oh man. So obviously dogs and cats we do a lot of. Here, like in Ontario at the wildlife shelter, it's pretty much any wild animals in sort of Ontario. So there's deer, there's porcupines, skunks, opossums, squirrels, chipmunks, turtles.
Every bird and hawk
That
you
it?
can think
Yeah,
of.
lots of
Shades of
birds,
Hope?
lots of birds.
Is that at Shades of Hope?
That is at Shades of Hope, yeah.
That's what Shades
I
of
love
Hope.
them.
Primarily,
I support
yes.
them.
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah, they're amazing.
Other than that, abroad, I would say my favorite case that I was involved with was a monkey that we dealt with in India.
Mhm.
He had some like abrasions to the face and a broken jaw,
Yeah.
and then he also ended up having an issue with his hand. I don't know how much I should spoil. Just go watch the video.
Check out the video. It's
But
very, it's very emotional and.
It was a very intense case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've also dealt with, there was some giant flying bats in India,
Oh,
in
yes.
Jamaica, and again, Emily wasn't there. We dealt with little itty bitty bats and also a crocodile. I had to help remove the eye off a crocodile that had been shot with a harpoon gun. So we've done pretty much every animal sort of group of species you can think of.
Now, you lend your expertise and you employ modern veterinary medicine, but it appears you also learn some techniques, often grassroots ones, from other vets in underserviced locales, and that you really have to think on your feet. Has this made you a better vet?
Without a doubt, yes. I mean, again, back to Jamaica, I thought I was going to fly in there as like this white knight on a horse and show off skills and teach them some stuff. And I definitely taught them some things, but the veterinarians there are able to do so much with so much less equipment and products and money that we have and support as well, that I became a faster surgeon. I became a much quicker sort of riddle solver and solving problems.
Very cool.
It's been an amazing way, and I actually encourage veterinarians to spend a day or two when you're out on vacation, get away from the white picket fence of the resort, or get off the cruise and find a shelter. Even just talk to the veterinarian. You will not only learn a lot, but be reminded how amazing this profession is, and we really are lucky to be able to do this.
It's
Absolutely.
funny too because I've noticed, like, just from observing that when we go to different places with different climates, they deal with a lot of different diseases there than we have here. So I remember specifically when we were in Egypt, I remember some of the surgeons just going through lists of some of the even like tick diseases that they have, and it was like, 5, 6, 7 that we don't have, that you've only heard of and read about, but that we've never seen here.
Wow.
And that doesn't really happen the same way vice versa. Like, we're really fortunate here to not have a lot of the diseases that they have over there. So
Mm-hmm.
You got schooled.
So,
a little bit.
so you've got the YouTube channel, and that seems to be going very well. Have you thought about trying to do a full documentary or anything like that?
Yeah.
Well, it's quite possible. I'm working with a producer right now, and maybe we're putting together something. It's possible.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
It's possible. No, we are. I constantly have people reach out to me, and about 6 months ago, a gentleman with some contacts with all the sort of major specialty channels that deal with animals. One of them has animal in the name. Wanted to work with me, and the nice thing is he actually knows an editor friend of mine that was a supporter of the Jamaica trip and was a client, and so there's a lot going on, and fingers crossed, if everything works out well,
Absolutely.
you might see us on the little screen eventually.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. That is very, very cool. Fingers crossed. Hopefully everything works out.
Yeah, we say fingers, toes, paws, and tails.
There you go.
Prehensile tails. Right?
Prehensile tails, that's right.
So, Dr. Cliff, you are vegetarian, and Emily, you're vegan. What are your thoughts on vets and vet techs who eat animals, or potential clients, let's say?
Yeah, I don't really think much about the clients. I try not to get into it too much. I mean, I'm there to help them take care of their animal. Though
Well, I suppose we were saying clients meaning the actual animal.
The patients.
Your
Okay.
patient, potential patient.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I do have some pet owners ask me about feeding their pets a vegetarian or a vegan diet, and I kind of help them with the challenges of that, and kind of say it is possible, but it's a little harder with cats than with dogs. You know, it's funny. I've only been a vegetarian for this December will be 5 years.
Okay.
And prior to that, I didn't eat a lot of meat, but I do want to sort of shout out to the people who put the "Why do you eat pigs" poster on the TTC subway 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it was that poster that made me think. And
I remember we were downtown on the subway at that point, and I remember like staring at that poster with you, and you just being like,
Emily was a vegetarian and pretty much has been a vegetarian her whole life.
Yeah.
And she didn't believe me when I finally said, and I hadn't eaten pork for years, but it was a health thing, not a morality issue, an ethical issue. So those posters work.
Very good.
It is hypocritical for veterinarians to eat animals. I mean, they could have the argument that there's a difference between, you know, the death at a farmhouse or a slaughterhouse versus the death hunting versus the death out in the wild. But it's still a little, it's hard to argue.
Justify irrational.
And that was a big thing for me. And it's funny, and you said this yourself, and actually I spoke with a gentleman, the link that you sent me, he's a big time activist that you had interviewed. What's his name? Oberg?
John Oberg? Yeah.
John Oberg. He recently, I reached out to him and he said, hey, it's great to meet a veterinarian who doesn't eat his patients. And I said, you know, calling all vegans, they said the same thing.
I love John. We love him.
Yeah, very, very good. So you never really think about it until you become a vegetarian and go, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I can't eat the patients that I'm actually taking care of. It just doesn't fit. So it's a natural thing for me.
Very good.
I do think like it's contradictive in like with anybody to be saying that they're animal lovers and eating meat, but it's like more so with people in this field because literally their profession of every day, like they're working to help save animals' lives. So for me, it's something that I don't understand. And
you save a pig and then go have a bologna sandwich for lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, some people argue, again, in sort of this field that it's different because they're working with specifically cats and dogs, and they value sort of different species differently. Like you guys were talking about speciesism.
Yep.
But again, it's sort of like, I think a lot of people too are just ignorant and don't think about it.
Absolutely.
It's called cognitive dissonance.
I personally never thought about it until I watched the movie Earthlings. It didn't make the connection at all.
Yeah.
So Emily, your father mentioned that you grew up predominantly vegetarian, but now you're vegan. So what made that connection for that switch for you, if you don't mind asking?
Yeah, so I was actually working at a vegan restaurant. It's a restaurant downtown called Love. Wonderful restaurant. Go check it out.
Yeah.
They're the best.
They're in Montreal as well, right? And they got they were in Montreal and now they have a
The change from Montreal. They have a bunch of locations there. The one in Toronto opened up in October last year. So I started working there November 2019. And I was there up until COVID. COVID hit. But yeah, it was really talking to people there. You know, I always preach, I'm vegetarian, I'm not doing anything bad, I'm helping animals. And it was sort of thinking about, I guess somebody brought up the fact that you have to impregnate cows in order for them to produce milk.
Yeah.
And this is a concept I had never thought of, and I don't know why. It was just a normal thing. Cows produce milk. That's normal. And
because they don't want us to think about these things, you know?
It's called
I started thinking more about that, and Then some of my friends also showed me some documentaries and gave me some links to different websites.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing research actually just before we went to Egypt. And I was sort of part-time vegan at that point. I stopped, buying cheese and eggs and dairy products at home. But I would still eat them when we went out occasionally. The deciding moment actually was when we were in Egypt. And we were doing a surgery on this big German Shepherd named Husky. And it was a really hard, long surgery. It was a leg amputation that we did. And I know that my dad was having complications because the hip joint was all kind of messed up. So we had to actually snap the femur and then disarticulate the hip joint from there. And there was a moment after the surgery where I saw the leg just like sitting in the trash bin, and then the top of the femur with like a little bit of the meat on it. And I remember like looking at it and just being like, this is what people eat. Like this is the same thing. There's no difference. This lovable dog that's walking around, and the dog unfortunately passed away a couple of days later. And that was actually the moment I decided officially, like, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm never again eating any type of animal product. I don't want to support this industry at all. So,
what a story.
Wow.
She's an inspiration to me, that's for sure.
That's good.
Well, hopefully when we hear from you next, we'll be finding out that you've decided to go full on vegan yourself, yeah?
Working
It's
on the
possible.
old man.
It's
Nothing
possible.
there. Now, you did do a very attention-grabbing form of activism, Dr. Cliff. You sat in a car for 30 minutes to demonstrate the agony and the risks that the summer heat poses to animals trapped in cars. People will have to watch the video to appreciate its impact, but what are your thoughts on cows, pigs, etc., being transported to slaughter on such days?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't like them being slaughtered at all, so the least it's going to sound so silly, but if there was a situation where there was absolutely no way that you could stop animals being used for food, at least you could make this is going to sound so ridiculous, but at least you could make their trip more comfortable.
No, I get you. I mean, we're not where we want to be, so I get that we want to have some kind of comfort for them until we finally get to that point where.
Yeah, like it's baby steps, right? Or little foal and piglet steps, let's say.
Yeah, in this society, that's where we have to operate within the parameters, I guess, of where we are.
It's inappropriate. I mean, it's not only the heat, but it's the stacked. If it's say pigs going to slaughter, they're just stacked on top of each other in these 18-wheelers, and I still see them go down the highway, and a little tear comes to my eye because I mean they're terrified. They don't know what's going on, and
horrible.
The fact that animals don't understand that their death is coming doesn't make it any better. In fact, it's potentially worse because it's just fear of the unknown. They just don't know what's going on.
Absolutely.
I think it's like the fact that they still experience similar levels of like pain and fear that we do, even if it's not derived like to a specific thing. They still experience it, and the fact that their journey leading up to slaughter isn't pleasant, and they're often in very small spaces, overcrowded, and
definitely.
We'll have to get you out to a vigil sometime, Emily, out to bear witness at the slaughterhouse.
I would love to go.
We'll do that for sure.
So do you have any plans as to where you'll be going next?
Yeah, I mean, if COVID hadn't happened, we'd be in India probably right now again. Both Hyderabad, the city we were at last time, and then also the city of Pune we want to go to. We've been talking to them, and although COVID's hitting them really hard and will for a very long time, I would be willing to go once I don't have to quarantine. I can afford to go away for 2 or 3 weeks. I can't afford to then come back and sit in my basement for another 2 weeks. But apparently there's some tests coming out where the airlines are going to be doing it, and you're going to be able to then skip quarantine. So that's very quick. I want to go back to India. There's a great guy. I recommend everyone check him out on YouTube as well. His name's Robert. His YouTube channel is Everyday Strays, and
Yeah,
he's
that's
in
great.
Bulgaria.
Mhm.
He's in Bulgaria, just north of Greece. So I want to go work with Robert, and of course Greece again. And then I have a list of maybe 15 places that are waiting for us to go to. So it's going to be an exciting decade and 20 years and 30 years, hopefully.
Great, and lots of good episode coming up.
Yes.
So, in regards to your own channel and your contacts, where can we find you and where can individuals reach out to you?
The easiest thing is obviously YouTube is youtube.com/drcliff. So Dr. Cliff. On Instagram @drcliff Worldwide Vet. And you can actually reach out to me. It's got my emails there. I'm happy to answer questions, and let's do another podcast. This is fun. I'm actually starting a podcast, or restarting. I did 3 episodes a while ago, and it kind of fizzled away. And I'm recording my first one tonight, but it's just going to be a couple of solo ones. And then she didn't even know this. And then I'll reach out to you guys, and I'll have you guys on my podcast.
That would be amazing.
What? I'm too shy.
And finally, your website again is www.vet905.com, correct?
Correct. Yeah. In about 2 months, we're going to have a Dr. Cliff Worldwide Vet website. But right now, my clinic website is vet905.com.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, anyway, I absolutely, when I saw the series, I was just blown away. I loved it.
We've got some, you're going to love it. We've got some Egypt episodes coming up soon as well. So
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to be on the show. It was an absolute pleasure to meet and speak with you. And we look forward to seeing the new items on the horizon. And hopefully we'll be guests on your show in the near future.
And you know,
100%.
you're rushing off to a surgery now, aren't you? So
Yes. We got lots of dental stuff going on today on some rescue animals.
yeah,
Awesome.
that is really good. So thank you for joining us. And again, to our viewers, kindly visit our new YouTube channel and like, comment, and subscribe, please. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye-bye, guys.
We love the work
All right,
that
thank
you're
you.
doing. So
So we'll talk about a vigil. We'll talk about a vigil.
yeah, that would be
Okay,
amazing.
talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye, guys. Peace.
That was good.